Hello and welcome to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar. In this video we'll be concentrating on the meanings, messages and methods used by Shakespeare in Act 2 Scene 2 of Othello. So this is a super short and punchy scene, and the herald reads a proclamation declaring a night of general festivities, and there are two priorities to these celebrations. First of all, and most importantly for the people of Cyprus, the destruction of the Turkish fleet. But also, we learn of Othello's recent marriage. And that's a great source of joy for everyone, it would seem. So how could we stage this? Well, Othello's herald has this proclamation and is reading it out, perhaps directly to Othello and the other soldiers that are close to him, but it could be on the streets of Cyprus for locals to hear also. Othello would be exuberant, exhilarated and joyful, and we could even see him alongside his wife celebrating the victory with a hug or a kiss. After all, they are declaring their private love in such a passionate public way. Most importantly, this is an incredibly short scene, and it's almost as if we're mirroring a set change on the site of this theatre. It could just be a curtain being pulled, if you like, just to indicate that time has passed and to signify significantly that there's relief amongst those people in Cyprus, and also for us as the audience, growing tension as we know that Iago's plans could begin to unfold in these climate conditions of festivities at night. We know that the Turkish fleet has suffered perdition, largely due to the noble and valiant efforts of Othello, and that the rejoicing celebrates the military victory and the general's recent marriage. Once more, the private and the public are blurred. The Moor has proclaimed a holiday from 5 o'clock until 11, so that soldiers and citizens can dance, make bonfires, or revel however his addiction leads him. I think that's an important quotation, actually, because ultimately, reveling however your addiction leads you is about the downfall that we see with many a character. In the scene, we'll learn it with Cassio first, with a little bit of alcohol being taken too far in his actions. But more than that, Othello revels his addiction. That of jealousy that's all-consuming, and that is his fatal flaw. And his addiction is something that he suffers greatly for by the end of this play. So how does the drama unfold in this scene? Dramatically, this mood of merrymaking and celebration is a huge contrast to the tragedy that we know is about to follow in this play. The chaos gives Iago the time and the opportunity to set his traps for the unsuspecting Cassio, and to some extent, the unsuspecting Othello. The feasting and dancing that happens, and earlier as we've learned in Act 1, Scene 3 from Iago, is the perfect climate. He describes it as the conditions that he's needing as hell and night must bring the monstrous birth of his evil design to the world's light. To say these words with such villainy of hell and evil and monstrous, we know the semantic field of evil is clear from his words. And it echoes once more the horror we know we're about to meet, but also the intentions of our Machiavellian antagonist in action. And it's as if he knows he's unearthing something that is truly malign. So the contrast we get in that quote of birth and light against monstrous and evil echoes once more his sense of joy in suffering for others. So Shakespeare accentuates the battle victory in this scene. Shakespeare is using this phrase of mere perdition, signifying that the Turkish fleet was destroyed completely. And Othello is once more acknowledged as a worthy general. Because of his management and dedication, they were able to defeat the Turks. Now we know it's actually the storm that defeated these Turks, but that's irrelevant. The people of Cyprus might as well get some hype about the general. It's interesting also to notice that we learn first about the battle victory and then about the personal joys of Othello. Yet when Othello is joining us in Cyprus, in our previous scene, Act 2, Scene 1, his first priority is his personal life. Perhaps that seems natural, but he is meant to be a warrior. He's meant to be the man in charge of this whole proceeding. And so to some extent, the blurring of public and private relate to us in some way, his priorities being not aligned with what they should be, for others to see so publicly. So we're celebrating his personal joys, and the reference to beneficial news, it is the celebration of his nuptials, to symbolise that Othello acknowledges his marriage with Desdemona and is willing to celebrate that connection. To some extent, to do so publicly, in light of their other public declaration in Act 1, Scene 3 in front of the Senate, seems both unusual, to some extent abnormal, given the conditions with which they were chastised, and even her father disowning her. Perhaps it's just a sentiment, but many couples celebrate their private lives privately if they don't wish to invite consequences, questioning, judgment in their decisions. So are we somehow to expect that this very public show of love might heighten further their deterioration of love and marriage as this play unfolds? Is it another foolish decision by lovers in passionate love? It definitely heightens further how their relationship breaks down. And we also know that the seeds of doubt that were already sown by Brabantio are yet to be accentuated, pushed further, amplified by what Cassio is about to do and how he will try and win favour with Othello by trying to use Desdemona. We know that even if this right now is the honeymoon period, it is about to go downhill. So what are the takeaways from Act 2, Scene 2? Well, we see victory in war and the power of a warrior in love, now proclaiming his love in Cyprus for all to learn. We also sense that chaos is about to unravel alongside torment and suffering due to so much excessive celebration and arguably delusion that's going to happen. We also know the defeated enemy, specifically the Turks, are not the threat we should be worried about. As an audience, we know it's the internal hatred in the army coming from a source within, that is Iago, that is about to tarnish harmony in Cyprus, and specifically the relationship the army has with locals and the army with itself, namely Othello with Cassio. Or, that sense that things are about to go downhill couldn't be more clear as we close this short and powerful scene. Why not subscribe to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar for all things English, literary and grammatical?